is that you listen to it, and you don't have to agree with all what we say. That's many things that I've learned from my inner life school. But you listen to it as a fiction, a theory. You don't need to believe it. Just pay attention to the feeling it gives you and the meaning it has in our own lives, how it resonates with you. That's the main thing. So let's get back to the first part. First kingdom to appear is mineral kingdom. I won't go too much over this one because John Sigrist explained a lot about this in the previous session. But when the initial big fire cooled down, stones appeared. One can't hardly speak of life in stones. They are or they are not. With water and oxygen, the vegetal kingdom was born in its primitive form. Then, under the action of chlorophyll, higher forms of plants could rise. They're what we could call their higher nature. Meanwhile, 80% of the first types of plants were extinguished. The higher form of plants evolved into the lower form of animal life. There are species where it's hard to tell if they are still plants or if they already are primitive animals, just between. First animals that have lived so much longer than we did so far needed the sun to keep their body warm, as they were cold-blooded. Meanwhile, tiny animals came to life with warm blood, shrews, and Joe mentioned those animals yesterday, I think. The very small ones were our ancestors. However small they were, their new operating system made it possible for them to outlive the dark period when sun couldn't reach the earth, nor the dinosaur skin, on account of that big meteorite is one of the explanations that's been given. There was too much dust all around. Again, a higher nature of animals, ripe ones, as Joe would say, took over the animal kingdom, while 80% of the previous ones disappeared. Dinosaurs too, although they had lived so long. This happened in all kingdoms before human and hominal kingdom. This could lead us to believe that it's likely to happen to humans too, as other kingdoms might appear after ours. If you compare, now I speak about the first men and women, but if you compare on the 24 hours day length, humans would appear on a few seconds before midnight. So that's to tell you how short it is if you look at the time in its big range. So let's have a look now at the very first men and women who were very similar to the higher forms of our mammalian cousins, the great apes. On the picture, if you looked at the screensaver a while ago, they speak about first humans, that's 4 million years ago. I'd say 6 million because it went back in time. These faraway ancestors are called Australopithecus. I guess you heard about that word. In their life conditions were quite difficult and complex. They had so many shortcomings compared to the surrounding animals, such as not enough fur to keep them protected and warm. They didn't run as fast. They couldn't fly and flee, and they were praised for many hungry competitors. One specific characteristic was the vulnerability of the babies during the first months and years of life. You know that some animals, they are already running when they come out, but humans, they have to be protected at first. So how could they survive? This is where other resources than physical ones were needed. One of their conquests of the outer world on the long road of evolution was mastering the fire, which kept threatening predators away, which made the cooking of food possible, and therefore made digestion easier. Time and energy were saved. You know that even the size of their bowels was reduced because they didn't need such long bowels as when you eat raw food. Since digestion didn't request so much energy, another part of human body could develop, and that's the brain. So the next so-called human was called Homo habilis. Maybe you heard that name, maybe not. He began creating tools to overcome his weakness as compared to other creatures. Then we had Homo erectus, the one who started standing up on his feet. And that shows a man who began standing up, freeing his hands for more creative activities. Intelligence was rising, with these first humans still trying to survive and to conquer the outside world. You all heard about their first tools, silex to cut skins in meat, and to build arrows, spears, to reach fast-running prey, needles to sew their clothes, and so on. The first artwork were probably signs on some of their tools to recognize them as belonging to the arising ego. It's mine, it's mine. Homo sapiens made another discovery. It was the decision of showing affection to only one man or one woman instead of always getting as many partners as possible. You must think about that time as with the kiss, it was a revolution in this society. What are these two doing there? Kissing each other. You don't see that before. No sign of affection, you know. Just now the ego could say, my wife, my husband, my children. Forming a separate family might have taken hundreds of years. Who knows? And this is far from obvious, even nowadays. We are now in Homo sapiens sapiens age. Literally the one who knows that he knows. Perhaps a pretty good definition of awareness or consciousness. Please be aware that it took 6 million years to conquer the outside world and come up with the sophisticated tools we now have for more material comfort, for easier life conditions. Washing machine, we wouldn't do without it nowadays. For worldwide communication too, we're on Zoom. We could go on and on, but you know about those. The flow of this ego world is that domination of previous kingdoms occurred and is still occurring with a selfish goal, possessing more all the time, buying more, even what's useless, and lacking respect for the earth, for vegetable and animal kingdoms, and even towards other people. When the ego wants to remain in control for its own sake, we see this Western society with all its flows, destruction of earth, of waters, of nature, awful ways to raise animals for food, murders, wars, fake news. We're always blaming someone or something else. What can prevent us from finding the right way to preserve life on this earth? Well, we have to find something, and we've got the help of 3 people. We say Buddha, the Christ, Mohammed, depending on the place where you lived and who was in charge. But you have to consider in the lapse of time, those 3 prophets, we can call them, occurred. It was only 500 to 600 years apart, one from the other. So it's a very, very short time compared to the 6 million years that have been going on. These 3 experienced suffering as unavoidable and they looked for answers inside in their hearts. We're back to heart to heart. As long as we only look for answers outside with our brain, you'd say, what's the name? We spoke about this yesterday. I forgot the word now. But with the second operating system, you heard about that. As long as we look for answers outside with our brain, we have no chance to discover the wealth hidden deep within ourselves. Now, there is a main difference between previous kingdoms and ours. In those previous kingdoms, life, with the L, capital L, life itself brought the necessary ingredient for evolution. On our part, we have to decide ourselves to contribute to evolution of life. It starts within each of us. We know in this kingdom, the other kingdom didn't. We know that our earthly life ends with death. But if another kingdom comes after, maybe they'll be aware of eternal life, just like we are aware from the ego side about birth and death. Yeah. So again, it took 6 million years to get where we are, and lucky that we come to this world equipped for the life that we are. We are not an Homo erectus, we are not an Australopithecus, we are not a Homo habilis, we're not even a Homo sapiens. We were born ready for this society. However, it's a good thing. But it could take a few more million years to conquer our inner world. We have to be patient. Our inner worlds would need different thoughts, different words, different actions. What we're all attempting to do, I think, every Sunday. This is where the ripening of our consciousness is fully needed. Otherwise, our species might destroy life on Earth. Depression, violence, or fleeing in a virtual screen world are already widespread. Each of us is involved in the process of acting for the evolution of humanity. It always starts in our own heart, and our example can spread as ripples on water. Practicing meditation and contemplation, caring for others, growing from our griefs, and choosing to love our imperfections, seeing that others suffer too, and yet love them as they are. These are the few of the tools we can use to help humanity to stay alive and help evolution. Let's attempt to conquer our inner world. Let's be patient and full of hope.